Why don't you introduce our first topic?
Yeah, first I want to say thanks, Ryan, for having me on the show. Obviously, I'm new this year, but I'm excited to get things started. So I think we're gonna start with some free agency talk. Hey.
Yeah, for sure. So the first thing I want to talk about, and it's not just going to be all free agency, we're going to talk a little bit more about some extensions as well,
Yep.
and other kind of major events that happen over that free agency period. So the first one is probably one of the more recent ones, and that would be Connor Zary extended for 3 years
Yeah.
with Calgary. What do we think about that?
You know what? I like it actually. Like I think it's a good cap hit in terms of I think what he can provide for us, and obviously, kind of going back into the summer, sort of around. We'll get to it when Coronado signed. Obviously, he signed early in the summer. I was kind of hoping Zary, we could maybe get something done with Zary long term. I was thinking in like the 6 to 8 year range too. Maybe at a cap hit of 6 mil or something like that. That would have been, I think, ideal. But considering, sort of the situations, obviously we don't really know what went on through the negotiations. But I think it is a fair deal. And I do like that at the end of those 3 years, he still is an RFA. So the Flames still have right over him. It's not like we're walking him to free agency, like no Kachuk stuff going on here. So I think overall it is pretty good.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I'm honestly pretty happy with, a bridge contract of 2-3 years even, like just to kind of see, last year he did get injured, which barring not his fault at all, but then he came back and was a little bit shaky and then proceeded to go get injured again.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of happy that we don't have him locked down for a super long time, just in
Okay.
case he doesn't fully recover for that or anything
Yeah.
like that. We can dump him if we need to. I think he's going to have a pretty good year though overall.
I do too. And the reason that I'm so okay with especially just paying your young guys is because with the cap going up, I think even if we did end up paying him, let's say like 6 mil on like a 6 year contract, in 3 to 4 years, that's going to be equivalent to like 4 million.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's not like I don't even think it would have been a problem, but I see where you're coming from for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, it's kind of good to know because we got him locked down. I think it was like 4 million or something like that, which is a steal. I
Yeah.
think, especially if he does perform like he did in the first half of last
100%.
season too. So moving on to another extension with the Flames, that'll be Morgan Frost. I think this isn't as much of a big deal, but personally, I really, really like this. That whole Frost-Farabee trade we did last year, we got a steal out of that because we got a great center and then a great winger who have great chemistry together as a team, and they're both pretty nasty players.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get too much into that trade. I think I'll probably get into sort of my perspectives on the Flames later. I don't think Frost and Farabee were necessarily players the Flames needed to trade for. I won't get into that too much, but just looking like specifically at the deal for Frost, I think it is fair. Like I think that is market value for what he's worth. And I guess we'll see sort of what he can do with the team. I'm not really sure how to feel about Frost and Farabee. They're sort of interesting players for me on the Flames because they're not like I wouldn't really consider them in that young group with like Parekh, Zary, Wolf, Coronado, like those guys. But then they're not like the Hubertos or Kadri, so it's sort of like I don't know where they fit in the timeline. So in terms of like the Flames re-signing him, I don't know. I don't know if I loved it. I don't know if I loved the trade to begin with, but dollar-wise, a good contract.
Yeah, overall, it's a good contract, and I think what we really need for Calgary is that strong center who can play that second, third line when needed. And he's pretty flexible. He can bounce around. He can pretty much play with anyone. But the whole reason we made that trade initially, I think, was for Frost. We just got Farabee as an extra.
Yeah.
Was to get that center because we couldn't win faceoffs to save our lives last year.
One thing I do want to mention, though, is I see Zary, like kind of going back to Zary right now, I see Zary more as a centerman, or that's where I'd like to play him. And I'm sure you've seen all the news, like how can he even play center with like Backlund, Frost, Kadri, like where does he fit in? So I think, I don't want to get too off topic, but that's where I think maybe, a Kadri trade maybe comes in, then Frost maybe fits in a bit better. But, what are your thoughts on that? Like,
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I think for right now, I think he'll be great as kind of, your flexible winger who can play left or right. I think as a player, he can play anything. He's super good at driving to the net. We've seen that.
Yeah.
So that's where I think he could be good as a center. But I feel like his play style definitely suits being a winger a little bit more and kind of more of a power forward almost type thing and less of a playmaker. Because you do see like a lot with the centers, especially on the Flames with Backlund, we got a lot of playmakers and stuff like that. And even Kadri, even though he is a high goal scorer, he is definitely more of a playmaker, I would say.
Okay.
So I wouldn't be against moving him to center, but I think that would only really work if we got rid of someone like Michael Backlund or Nazem Kadri, who we've just extended Backlund as well for a couple more years.
He's not moving, but anyway, do you want to move on to
maybe Dustin Wolf?
Yeah, let's talk about Wolf.
Yeah.
Man. Okay, like
what are your thoughts?
I love this deal. Like this is unreal. Like 7.5 for the next 7 years, again with the cap going up.
Yeah.
Like, man, that's gonna be worth like what $5 million is now in like 4 years.
Exactly.
And he's gonna be like a top 3 goaltender in the league, probably top 5. Like,
yeah, I could definitely see him. Maybe year 4, year 5, full seasons, like competing with someone like Prime Hellebuck right now, who's been one of the best in the regular season. I'm not gonna talk about playoffs because we know how Hellebuck is there, but in regular season, he's going to be up there for sure. I think with some of the best goalies in the league, and he even was last year too. He had a great year. So we'll see if he can even continue that on into the next couple of years. And I'm really hoping he can, because he is a great player. He's a super good guy to have on the team, I think.
Yeah, I know, and I love too that although like there has been so much stuff with the Flames media, like, oh, American players, do they want to stay in Calgary? And Wolf is American, and I feel like he's just one of those guys that loves Calgary. Hey, like he's spending his summers out here and stuff. Like you love to see that, and just. Yeah. No, he's awesome. He's awesome.
Yeah, no, I think he loves the city. I think he's going to be one of those guys that doesn't really want to move around. You get a couple players who, second, third liners, they love to move around between different cities and different teams and whatnot. But I think Wolf's going to be one who wants to spend his entire career in Calgary, which is awesome for us.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's such a hard position too to fill, finding your franchise goaltender. First of all, they're so hard to come across because there aren't very many of them, and to be able to draft them and then get them locked up on just good long-term contracts, you don't have to worry about that for the next 7 years. I think that was such an important thing for the Flames to do, and that's awesome.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. Yeah, definitely. So moving on here, so we can keep going through free agency. Mitch Marner, 8-year deal in Vegas. Of course, he did get traded. I think it was Nick Waugh was the return for Toronto. I think Toronto was just looking to get rid of him and get something in return instead of just losing him in free agency. So he got traded and then got extended for 8 years. What do you think in Vegas?
Yeah, I mean, obviously because it is in the Flames division, it's not the best in terms of for their competition.
Yeah,
but I'm not a big fan of Vegas, right? Like they always seem to get a hold of these guys.
Yeah,
but I think in terms of if you're just looking at dollar value, good contract for Vegas. I mean, he probably is worth around $12 million.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think
he's gonna be great with Eichel. So.
Oh yeah, no, that first line for Vegas is gonna be very similar to what we see up in Edmonton. Even I think, just power wise and how they rely a lot more on that first and second line with their star players there, and less on their back lines.
I'd be really interested. I'm just interested to see. Like, I think we can all agree he's gonna have a great regular season there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I want to see what happens in playoffs.
Yeah, that kind of is the big question mark with Marner too, because he's kind of been all over the place with the playoffs. He's maybe had 1 year where he's solid, and then the next couple he's just kind of been nowhere, especially with the Leafs. I mean, that is the Leafs too. They are probably the most inconsistent team when it comes to the playoffs over the last 10, 15 years. So that might be more of a team dynamic thing going into that, kind of with that mentality. Whereas with a new team, they've been solid the last couple of years. They've won a cup. Like, they've always been kind of up there with contenders to make it to second, third Stanley Cup final rounds.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I just wonder if it is something to do with the culture there. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what's going on there, but I wonder if maybe, just to switch up in Vegas, Vegas plays hard. I feel like they have a winning culture for sure. Like, they believe they can win. And, maybe if they can mold Marner sort of to buy into that sort of culture, I'd be interested to see. Like, I would be happy. I mean, if he could turn it around, I think it'd be funny too. See like how the Toronto fans react if maybe he goes on a run or something. He's like over a point per game in the playoffs.
Oh man, that would be crazy. I know Toronto fans would not be happy.
Oh, that's what I mean, right? Like they're never gonna give that up either.
No. So continuing on, we got a couple other smaller contracts that aren't the biggest deal. Maybe Ehlers to Carolina for 6 years. I don't remember exactly what the payout was for that and what Ehlers is making.
I want to say it was around like 8.1.
Yeah, honestly, that could be good for the first couple years, and then that could be a bit of a bust after that. I think Ehlers will be solid for another year or two, and then something's going to happen. He's going to get injured or he's just going to have a bad season. That's just going to go straight downhill from there.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ehlers is he's a good player. I think he's pretty underrated. Like he wasn't deployed the best in Winnipeg on the Jets, I know. So I'd be interested to see sort of how he's deployed. Maybe his ice time is raised because that was a big thing with him. Like, man, his ice time was so down. But he produced well when he did play in Winnipeg, and he's playing with, some great players again, Aho. I just don't know if that was exactly the... Like, not that he's, like, a bad pickup for the Canes, but I feel like the Canes, they kind of needed... like a Marner, like kind of one of those big difference makers, obviously.
Yeah, or like a younger, solid talent for the future. Because I feel like that's what Carolina might be looking to go for potentially. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Like, have a whole bunch of players in between, 25 and 32, and then have a whole bunch of young, talented guys as well to fill that second and third line, and then learn from those upper players. And I feel like Carolina is also a team that they go into the playoffs, maybe similar to the Leafs almost, where they go into the playoffs thinking, oh, yeah, we have a really solid team. We got a chance for a cup. And then something happens in the second or third round. So they make it past the first one, but then something always happens and they just get smoked.
Oh, I know. And that's where I think, maybe having that top-end talent, like their team lacks a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I just think if they could get one of those big stars, right? Like, I mean, they tried with Rantanen.
Yeah,
they tried to get Marner, right?
Yeah.
But I don't want to get, again, too off topic, but I do think that is like I agree with you for the most part. Like, I think I don't know how it'll age, but I think for the first few years it should be good.
Yeah.
And, hopefully, I would be happy if, Carolina could maybe get past the hump because they are a good team. They deserve
to win. They definitely have a solid team, and they 100% deserve it. They're a very likable team.
Yeah.
So it would be kind of cool. I would like to see them make the Cup Finals.
Me too. Yeah, it'd be nice a different final, please, from Florida.
Yeah,
Oilers, please.
any non-Florida team and no Edmonton, please, and I'll be happy.
Exactly.
So anyway, moving on to Edmonton. And this one hurts me a little bit as a Flames fan.
Yeah.
Mangiapane for 2 years.
Yeah, man. That was hard to see, hey?
Yeah.
Like, he is such a... Like, I loved him on the Flames, man. Like, I still remember his rookie year and stuff. Yeah. And it's just, like, watching him build up from 2018 all the way up until... What do we have?
A couple years ago. I think 23 we got rid of him at the deadline.
Okay, yeah, I think you're right. 2023. To Washington. So, I mean, yeah, I always liked him. I liked him on Washington, too. I cheered for him. But seeing him go over to Edmonton, man,
that's gonna hurt. It's gonna be weird seeing him in that jersey too. So
especially if I don't want to jinx it. I'm not hoping for it, but if the Oilers do go on another run, that is gonna hurt so badly to see Mangiapane go far in the playoffs in that jersey.
Oh yeah, and the thing that I'm gonna struggle with there as well is because he was decent in Calgary. Like he had a couple good years, and then the years leading up to when we traded him, he was just okay. Like, he's playing second, third line, that kind of middle role. He was doing all right, and then we traded him, and then he was quite good in Washington, from what I remember. He had a great season last year, and now he's moved up to Edmonton. I don't know where he's going to fit into that lineup, to be completely honest. Even on, like, a second line, I think he's going to be playing third, to be completely honest. I don't think he's going to get used enough as he should up there.
Yeah, I mean, I think Mangiapane, from when he started in the league up until that 2023 season where it was 2022 season where he had that like monster like 30 goal season or whatever, right? He was on an upward trajectory up until that season, and then he sort of plateaued a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think that's when he reached his ceiling. I think we kind of know what player he is now. He's probably a really good middle six, sort of third line, two-way, grindy winger. Mm-hmm. So I think that's probably how he's going to be utilized in Edmonton. I wouldn't be surprised though if he gets elevated a little bit and plays top six, because Edmonton does that a lot where they put these sort of third line guys up with McDavid and Draisaitl and their points are inflated. So that wouldn't blow me away either. But I think somewhere probably between third line, I'd assume.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, or even if he goes and plays second line and just fills the role of Evander Kane, or who's now in Vancouver.
Yeah,
so that might be the whole reason why they brought him in anyway, just to be that similar guy. He's not going to be, the exact same player as Evander Kane, because we all know Kane. He's up there with the Kachucks as some of the most annoying players ever. If they're not on their team.
Players in the league.
And now they don't have him anymore. He's off to Vancouver. So, moving on to another person who gets under a lot of goalies' skins and other players' skin, Brad Marchand, 6 years in Florida.
Yeah, I just can't believe that Florida was able to pull that off. Like, they got They got Ekblad signed, they got Bennett signed, they got Marchand signed. Like, none of them walked.
Yeah, I was
like,
shocked.
It was crazy.
I don't know how they pulled that off, to be completely honest with you there.
I think that's a smart way, though, that they signed Marchand. Like, because I know his cap hit is pretty low.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what the number is exactly?
Oh, yeah, no. I mean, I think with Marchand, he's not really there for the money anymore. He made all his money in Boston. Now he's just there to play and there to win. And, you saw that come out in the playoffs last year. He was one of the best players. Like, I think if Sam Bennett wasn't on Florida, he definitely would have won playoff MVP.
Oh, 100%.
Because he was just so consistently good.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun to watch him last year. And that's a player, as I grew up just outside of Vancouver, of course, I'm not the biggest Brad Marchand fan, but it was a lot of fun to definitely watch that play out.
I know. And signing him for the longer term deal, like 6 years, like obviously he's like 36 years old right
Something
now.
like that, yeah.
Like obviously if he does play that whole contract, my goodness, that's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know if that's going to happen. But by signing him for that long, they're able to get the cap hit a bit lower, right? So they're not having to pay him as much year over year. So that is smart. I think it's a good signing because, they're still trying to win. So why not do it if he's willing to resign?
Yeah. And we're just going to keep this moving just because this is taking a little bit longer than expected. A big one for Toronto, Matthew Knies for 6 years. That's a big deal for them. I think he's going to be a solid player for them.
Yeah, I'm interested to see kind of how he does, I guess. Is this because this is his sophomore season, right?
Yeah.
I mean, sophomore slumps are a real thing. So I'd be interested to see, but I do think that is a good contract. Long term.
No, I think it's great for player and team. So I think I'm just interested to see where he fits in. So now he's making a ton of money on a long deal. Is he going to play that second line role again, or is he going to make the jump to first and then play up there with Matthews?
I'd assume first, especially with the loss of Marner.
Yeah.
They do need some wingers to play there with him. So I'm assuming he's probably going to be up there with Matthews.
Yeah. And then two more here, both with Vancouver. Brock Besser for 7 years and Connor Garland for 6 years.
Yeah.
I was shocked with Besser, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
I fully thought he was going to move and leave, probably go somewhere
Minnesota,
like Dallas or Minnesota even, or even like some sort of East Coast team, Not going to say the Rangers because Miller's there now, but so, a place like Boston even right now who's rebuilding, who's got that history, and they got the coaching staff who knows how to rebuild a team and bring them to the Cup.
Yeah, I mean, I have a buddy that's a big Canucks fan, so he was pretty fired up when he heard Besser's getting re-signed, especially because, there's all that news that he was leaving. Like, I don't even know, like, where the sources for that were coming from. Like, I feel like everyone just assumed he was leaving, and he's like, no, I'm going to stay. So I think it is a pretty good contract, though. Like, the Canucks are still trying to be a good team. I still have faith they could be good. I think Pettersson could bounce back. They obviously still have Hughes. And then, they also re-signed Garland, which I think is solid.
Yeah, and I'm going to go a little bit off topic here with the Canucks as well, because I had this conversation earlier. My issue is they're putting their money in the wrong places, because now that they've re-signed their two goalies, Demko and Lankinen, they have two starting goalies. And now whoever's going to be their backup goalie is either making $5 million or $6 million a year, because that's a lot of money to spend on a backup goalie. And I think it will be Lankinen, so about 5.4 or whatever it was he re-signed for. But then what do you do when Demko gets injured? Who's going to be that backup goalie now that you don't have Shilovs too?
Yeah, that is a good point. I wonder if, they can always obviously trade one of the guys. I think. Yeah. I am interested to see how they go about that, because I do still think they could use some help down the middle a little bit. And I think their decor is, for the most part, pretty good. They have decent depth, but I do think they could use some winger help for Pettersson for sure, and a bit more center depth, because they only really have Pettersson now, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, on defense you're talking about.
Oh, no, I'm talking about forward, like Elias Pettersson.
Well, you got Pettersson and Besser now, and Garland, of course, is sticking around for another 6. So that's probably going to be pretty good. I would say that's most likely going to be their first line. You also got Lekkerimäki, too, coming up through the ranks, too. He's going to be a solid second liner this year.
It's just, I just worry with their center depth, because who do they have for that second line centerman after Pettersson? Like, there's just not, like, I know Otto is probably going to take a step this year, but he's probably only like a bottom sixer. Yeah, I mean,
you could try and move Philip Hedl over to center and move him up onto that second line potentially. But I think that'll be a pretty big shift for him as a player. So
we'll have to see,
know.
right?
Yeah, we'll see. Okay. So, moving on, we got about 5 minutes here until we take a break. That gives us just enough time to talk about something that you want to talk about, and that's Bedard versus Celebrini.
Oh man, this has been a debate that's I feel like started sort of like middle of last year. Obviously, like people are like, "Hey, who's better?" Celebrini had an awesome rookie year. Bedard sort of stagnated on a pretty poor Chicago Blackhawks team. But I just want to sort of get Bedard's back here. I think I'm sure you saw this post too, but an anonymous NHL player pretty much said Celebrini's the type of player that carries a team.
Yeah.
And Bedard's the player that can only be good if he has help. And I'm coming here to say I don't agree with that because, and I don't want to pick sides because I love both Bedard and Celebrini, but I do think Bedard is going to be the better player and is still the better player because he's on a Blackhawks team with zero help.
Yes.
No one there helping him right now, so I don't really know where that comes from. And Celebrini, he already has like a really good young crop of players playing with him. He's got Eklund, Toffoli, Smith, right?
Oh yeah.
That's just I just feel like Bedard's stock is low, and I was just kind of wondering what your thoughts are on that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think Bedard as a player could, right now he definitely could use a little bit more help, and of course, I mean, that's what every team will need with their star players, and one player isn't going to change the whole dynamic of a team and decide if that's going to be a playoff team or not. I think with Bedard, I think he has the potential to be a McDavid-esque player where he can do everything himself. He's just not there right now.
Exactly.
Give it 2-3 years, 4 maybe, and I could definitely see him being that player and kind of leading the team, being that star forward who just powers through the defense and scores, like what you see McDavid doing.
Yeah.
And kind of less being a player, I don't know, I'm going to refer back to Edmonton here and say, Draisaitl, who kind of does it all, but it's a little bit more moderated between everything.
Yeah.
Where he's getting fed into one-timers, tip-ins, taking it himself. Whereas McDavid, a lot of the time, if you see McDavid making a rush, he's just going to go for it straight himself.
Yeah.
So I could definitely see that happening. I feel like Celebrini, I'm going to say they're going to be pretty even players just because Celebrini, I feel like, is going to be more of a team personality.
Yeah, he's more of like a Bergeron when I think.
Yeah, more of a team leader. I could definitely see him, if he re-signs with the Sharks, staying there for a long time and then being the captain for 5-10 years even, for sure.
Yeah.
That's definitely a good option, I think, because with that good young core, they're all super close. Like, him, Smith, Toffoli, they're all super good friends. That was kind of proven last year. And the whole point of last year for the Sharks, it was just them messing around and having fun, to be completely honest. So...
Yeah, I just think if you were to switch Bedard and Celebrini's teams, like Bedard would probably right now be putting up 90+ points.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't think Celebrini would be able to do much if he were in Chicago.
That's why I just think it's such recency bias too with that. Like again, I don't want to sound like I'm like a Celebrini hater because I actually love Celebrini as well.
Yeah,
like I love like both of them, but I just think people are forgetting how good Bedard is, like how many records this guy broke.
Oh, yeah.
How good he was in World Juniors, how hard he carried a poor Regina team in the WHL. Like, I'm just a big Bedard guy. I have him in fantasy, too, in a Keepers League, so I'm just a huge Bedard homer.
Yeah, no, I agree. I love Bedard. The whole World Juniors thing from a couple of years back and that nasty overtime winner, like... I've always been following him, and I think he's going to be one of those players that does turn into a star. And if he does that, though, he's going to have to do that in the next couple of years to really prove himself as that. Otherwise, he's just going to get criticized too hard.
Oh, 100%.
Alrighty. So, next thing we're going to talk about here is players re-signing was our next topic. We're going to go with the big one first. We're going to go Connor McDavid. What do we think?
Oh, man, this has been such a hot topic, eh?
Oh, yeah.
I can't believe there's actually... thought behind him not re-signing. I just kind of assumed he was gonna, like, I know people after they lost were like, oh, is he gonna leave? And I was realistically thinking, let's be honest, guys, he's not gonna leave Edmonton. But it's kind of at a point now where, man, I don't know, like, I feel like he actually might leave. I still am leaning towards he might not, but I do have a few teams that I think it would be interesting for him to sign with if he did leave.
Yeah, for sure. I think for me, even though I am a very big Flames fan, and I'm the Oilers. Yeah, I'm very against the Oilers. I like McDavid as a player. I just don't like the team he's on. It's very hard for me to see him leaving, and I think if last year and the big trades that happened last year, like with Rantanen and Marner, didn't happen, I would say, yeah, absolutely no way. Just because, you'd never really see anything of that caliber as much. Like, it's such a hard thing to see.
Yeah.
Whereas now I think it's a possibility that he leaves, but realistically, I don't think he leaves.
Yeah, it's just I feel like the Oilers are in such a difficult position right now because he expires at the end of this year. And obviously you have to risk just going for it with him in case this is your last year. But in hindsight, if he does walk, like, could you imagine just, like, not getting anything for that guy? Like, that would be brutal. And if they don't win next, like, let's say they don't win the Cup, they're out in the second, third round, whatever.
Yeah.
They don't, and he leaves, like, man, that would be brutal.
Yeah, but, like, even going back to that, getting something for him, realistically, like, who's going to have the assets and the money to trade for him and then re-sign him if you're not giving up, like, your whole core, essentially?
I honestly, I don't think there's any team. I mean, there are probably some teams I think could maybe trade for him, like maybe a team like LA. They have quite a few like sort of young guys like Byfield, Clark, some first stuff like that.
It would have to be Clark. I highly doubt they would give up Byfield right at this point.
I think for McDavid though, like if you're getting McDavid, I could see it.
Yeah,
like, I mean, it's hard to put a price on McDavid though because we've never seen a player at that caliber get moved.
Yeah.
So like, what would the cost really look like? So it is a little bit hard to sort of mock up a trade for McDavid, I think. But a few teams I did feel like could maybe go for him. Carolina's a team. I kind of talked about it before. They're sort of that team where I think if they added a legit star player of the league like a McDavid to their roster, I could see them probably getting over that hump and potentially winning a cup. Again, they sort of have the money, I guess. Like maybe if they sign him to like a 1-2 year deal, like nothing too long term, I could see them maybe going for it with 2 years of McDavid. The Rangers were another team. I could just see him playing in that market. And Tampa is another team I thought maybe just throw out there. Like I kind of wonder, who knows?
Yeah, no, I could definitely see that as well, and I kind of agree. I think if he is leaving, he's probably going to go to one of these big market.
That's what I mean, like an East
Coast team. Like your, Tampa Bay. I would say Florida, but realistically, there's no way they have any money left after everyone they've just re-signed. But even like Boston, someone who's rebuilding,
maybe Boston,
they got a solid draft pick this year in their first overall. I think they were 9th overall. I can't remember exactly who it was, but they're going to be a solid team in a couple years again. Looking at it, so could that be an option? Does he look to go to a team that's in the rebuild process with that huge fan base and that huge hockey culture and sit there for the rest of his career? Because realistically, I don't think he's going to take a 1 or 2 year deal. I think he's going to go at least 6 years.
I have a feeling I'm actually kind of on the other side. I think if he re-signs with the Oilers, because from what we've heard from him in the press, he wants to win.
Yeah.
I think what he's going to do is potentially sign a 1-2 year deal. Lower cap hit. By lower cap hit, I still mean for him probably like $16 million or something like that. And then I think I could see him if the Oilers don't win in those 2-3 years, then I think he goes to free agency and he goes to, like a Carolina or maybe like at the time, maybe the Blackhawks or
definitely.
Right?
Or
like,
even a team like Anaheim.
Yeah,
potentially.
Anaheim.
That's you're still in the division, you're not moving too far. Like whatever you have in Edmonton, like I mean it's a ways to go still down to Anaheim, but it's not like you're going to the East Coast.
Oh, exactly.
It's a lot closer, and I mean it's not a similar climate down there, but
that'll be
pretty similar hockey culture, I'd say, down there in Anaheim.
It's gonna be an interesting storyline to follow throughout the season. Just I feel like that's kind of gonna be on his back all year, a little bit, and it's gonna be the Oilers have a lot of pressure right now. This is kind of not their last shot, but I think it is one of their legit last shots, whether they sign McDavid or not, just because of his pay raise that he's gonna get. So.
Yeah, definitely. And now moving on to the other big name is Kaprizov.
Kaprizov, man. I love Kaprizov. I think he's an awesome player. Unfortunately, I do feel like he's going to leave.
Yeah.
Very unfortunately. I thought Minnesota had a great future. I'm like, they already got their star player, Kaprizov. They got Boldy. They got a lot of young bucks. They got Faber on the back end. I'm like, man, they're going to be good in like 3-4 years once those buyouts come off their cap hit. Like, they're going to be able to spend so much more. But based off what we've heard, I don't think he wants to be there.
Well, yeah, because he was offered $16.5 million or whatever it was, and he said no to being one of the highest paid. I think it would be the highest paid player in the league. As of right now, I think McDavid will go for more. But I think he is going to. I think that pretty much proves that he's going to leave and take a $12 or $14 million deal somewhere else with a team that's maybe a little bit more consistent, because Minnesota has been a little bit all over the place. They do have a solid future. I think I agree with you on that. But, a couple years ago they made playoffs, and then year after they didn't, and then they did last year. They're just a little bit inconsistent as of right now, and I think that's something to do with the coaching staff as well, as bounced around quite a fair bit. Whether that's a little bit better now, who knows? We'll have to see going into this year, but I think there's a very high chance he leaves.
Yeah, it's unfortunate too, because I just think Minnesota's window to actually be a legit contender is probably once those buyouts come off and when some of their young guys sort of enter their primes.
Yeah.
And I think Minnesota can be a team that he could win on, but it seems like he's sort of wanting to win right now.
Yeah.
Which is fair, I guess. But it does suck for Minnesota, too, because that sort of sets them back now. Like, they might honestly have to go into a bit more of a harder rebuild if they do move Kaprizov. I mean, they're going to get a big package, too, if they
100%.
So.
Yeah. They get a lot out of it, and I think if you're Minnesota, if you are kind of forced to trade him, you got to go for draft picks and prospects, like top-tier prospects that, will end up all playing first, second-line minutes. And consistently doing that. That's what you got to aim for right now, especially with the younger core that you're building to.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely the right move. We should have one. Yeah, we got time to talk about maybe one more, and that's Hughes.
Luke Hughes.
That's a big one, I think. Super, super big name when it comes to the younger side of players.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a solid player. I think he's going to be good wherever he plays. It's just if he stays.
It's brutal that he's still not signed, hey? He's not playing in any preseason games. He's not practicing with the team. Like,
it's brutal. It's
not
hard
good.
to see.
I'm kind of wondering sort of what's going on with the camps. Like, I don't know. I'm assuming the Devils want to get him on a long-term deal, and I think they're wanting to get him at a lower AAV, lower than what his brother Jack is making, which is $8 million, and that's a really good deal. That's a really good value, $8 million for Jack Hughes. And I think Luke wants more than that. And I think that's sort of the issue that's going on right now. So I think they're going to re-sign him. It's probably going to be a bridge deal. It's probably going to be like $6 million for 3 years, something like that.
Yeah, I was going to say 6 or even high 7s for 2-3 years would probably be what I would say would be their best option. They just re-signed Markstrom too for a couple years on a bigger. It's not a huge contract, but it's on the bigger side. Yeah. So it's just something else to think about as well. Now that they have that Markstrom deal done, they have their goalie. What do they do now with Luke?
It is just a bit unfortunate, too, because if they could get him just locked up on that long-term deal, get him for his prime, but now they're sort of in a situation where in 3 years, when he does enter his legit prime, there is worrisome that maybe he could leave. And there's been all those rumors that the Hughes brothers want to play together. Is that in New Jersey? Is that in Vancouver? Is that on another team? Does that even happen? So there's just drama with that sort of stuff too, just because they're all brothers. So it's going to be interesting. Obviously, the Devils want to get him long term, which makes sense, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. But I do think they should probably try to get this done sooner rather than later.
I agree.
Get him into some preseason games and just get him on the team again, right?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree with that statement. All right, so we are going to move on here.
You're listening to CMRU.ca by students for you.
Okay, so moving on to the battle for the Calder. Man. What are your early predictions? We got so many big names going in here who could win it. You got a couple sleepers who went early in the first round who I think could have a shot. They got to come out strong, though. What do you think?
Man, I'm excited for the Calder this year. I love the class. Like, obviously, Parekh, Flames guy, I'm going to be rooting for him.
Oh, yeah.
But I think right now I'm going to be pretty basic. I think this is kind of Demidov's trophy to lose at this point.
Yeah.
Like, he's probably going to be put in the best position to win it. I think he's going to be playing top 6 minutes for sure. He's going to be on the first power play. Guys like Parekh, I think I could see Parekh being a little bit more sheltered, which may kind of hurt. Maybe in the first part of the season, I can see him being a bit more sheltered, which might hinder his chances at it. Schaefer, just because he's a defenseman.
Yeah.
I just find it harder for a younger defenseman to win the Calder, right?
Yeah, and it's kind of the same thing with goalies. Of course, we saw last year, we saw a defenseman win it, and Lane Hudson, and, he had one of the greatest rookie years I've ever seen, I think.
Yeah.
And, barring Bedard, potentially. I think, yeah, I kind of agree with that Schaefer and Parekh are going to be kind of sheltered second, third line guys. I could definitely see Parekh sitting on that second line for the first year or two. Definitely.
Yeah. What I could see too from Parekh is potentially he's very sheltered at the start. Like he might be getting second power play, third pair minutes, and then maybe, you know, once we move off, if we move off a guy like Rasmus, gets more elevated, maybe he's in a top 4 role, he's getting first power play, and then maybe the second half he really pops off. But I think just because Demidov right off the bat's probably going to be top of the lineup guy, it's going to be hard to beat Demidov.
Yeah, I think I got Demidov as well, just as my pick for the Calder. It's like
how could you not pick him right
it's
now?
hard not to pick him right now. You know, you see what he's done in the preseason. He's just laying guys out fully. Like, he's just amazing, nasty when he's got the puck on his stick.
Great.
He's so quick, wicked shot. Like, his stopping ability, his deking ability. Like, this is going to be one of those guys, especially in Montreal, too, who's got a good younger core. I mean, Caulfield and Suzuki, they're getting up there, but then you look further down and you got Slavkovsky, too, who had an okay season last year. He's going to be great this year, I think.
He's going to take a jump.
Yeah, especially if you put him on that second line with Demidov. Yeah, they got Hudson, too. And, you know, especially if their goalies show up, I think they're going to be a solid contender for the Cup.
Like they got Jacob Fowler coming up the pipeline in the goaltending department. Yeah, man, like Montreal's going to be nasty.
Yeah, I think Montreal, like, for me, like, I haven't seen anyone talking about it. I think Montreal is going to be one of the scariest teams of the year to face, especially if you are in one of those fringe wildcard spots fighting for it right at the end of the season. If you got Montreal, you're going to be scared. Yeah. Because that's a solid-looking team.
Oh, 100%.
I think another sleeper for the Calder, third overall pick, Michael Misa for the Sharks.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to see how Misa, like, where he's deployed. Like, if he, like, I mean, he signed his ELC.
Yeah.
So I feel like he's probably gonna make the team, which is a little bit. I didn't know how I felt about that. I thought maybe he'd go the college route. I thought maybe he would hold out, not sign this year, play in college, then maybe play next year. But considering he signed, I don't really see him going back to the O.
Yeah.
Just considering he put up, like, 130 points. 140. Like, there's nothing really more for him to prove there. Yeah. So maybe Misa's put in, like, a second line role. Maybe he's the second line center there. Like he's getting some power play time. But it'll be interesting to see. So I'm really interested to see what the Sharks, how they perform this year.
Yeah, I feel like the Sharks could be either, you know, quite a decent team. Just my issue is with them is it's just such a young core. They're relying so much on their young players to produce. I just don't really see anything too crazy happening when you're relying so much on your young forwards and making them your stars.
Yeah. I think another sleeper, have you heard much about Sam Rinzel, defenseman out of Chicago? No. Yeah, he performed really well in college last year, looking like he played top 4 minutes for the Blackhawks second half of last year once his college season ended. He's looking like he's going to be the first power play guy for Chicago this year. He's a young buck. I'd be interested to see how he could do, too. He could be a sleeper. I could see maybe putting up under the radar 30 points. I don't think he's going to win it just because of the name and stuff. And right off the bat, right? I think Demidov just got the hand on that. Bigger guys like Parekh, right? But I think he's a guy, too, to watch. Watch out for Sam Rinzel. He could be great for the Blackhawks this year.
Yeah, for sure. So moving on to kind of our final segment, this will go up to the end of the show here in about 12 minutes. Is we got kind of our expectations for the Flames.
Yeah.
What do you think for this year?
The Flame, like, it's weird because they're like my team, right? But they're one of the teams in the league that I really don't know what's going to happen because they're very similar to their team last year. I think the roster, I think you could even argue maybe it's a little bit worse or it's going to become a little bit worse if they move off Rasmus potentially. If Kadri is on the move at some point this year, that could be something that happens. And I do feel like last year they maybe, I don't know if overperformed is the word, but overachieved expectations. I think a lot of people, especially me, thought they were going to be more of a probably bottom 10 team, honestly, picking high in the draft. And I think Wolf really carried them out of that spot. And I think if Wolf isn't as good as he was last year, I could see them being sort of in that bottom 10.
Yeah, I agree because, to be completely honest, my first note here is if Wolf stays hot, I'd expect a playoff run, and if not, then bottom 10 team, I'd say for sure. And yeah, it is kind of hard as well because, like you said before, this is our team, and it is really hard to predict. It's one of the hardest teams to predict what they're going to do because I think if we want to make a playoff push, we can't just rely on Wolf like we did last year. We need, Kadri he was probably our best player in the second half of the season, but we need Huberdeau and Uyghur. Uyghur was good as well. We just need him to take that a little bit more, and Huberdeau needs to wake back up to how he was playing in that first year here with Calgary after he got traded in that Tkachuk trade. And Zary and Coronado, too, are my big question marks. Second main seasons in the league. We need something big, especially from Coronado, I'd say, with that big contract for 6 or 7 years or whatever it is. It's a great contract if he continues to perform like he did last year. Even if he's sitting on that second line, I'll take that.
Yeah, it's just they're gonna like you said, they're gonna have to rely heavily on some of those younger guys like Zary and Coronado, and honestly, even Perek too, man. Like if depending on how the decor shapes out. I keep going back to Rasmus Henderson being traded, but that is like a big storyline of the season. Like that is going to determine sort of how the season goes and like how guys are deployed on the back end. So I think, yeah, man, it's gonna be big on the young guys, I think.
Yeah, and I feel like we are also a team that's, kind of similar even to San Jose, what I said earlier, that does rely on our young players. But if you look at last year, our young players did exactly what we needed them to do, especially focusing on Coronado. That was awesome. That was a great first full season for him. Like, hopefully he can improve this year, put up, 50, 60 points would be awesome, I think, for him.
I honestly do think, though, if they were bad, that isn't bad because this is the Gavin McKenna draft. I'm a big draft guy, so I'm pretty familiar with sort of some of the prospects coming in. Like, this is a very deep class. It reminds me a lot of the 2024 was very good, and the 23, the Bedard draft was really good. Like, you got McKenna, you got Stenberg. There's so many great players, I think. So if they are bad, I think this is the year to do it. Could you imagine what the team would look like with a McKenna potentially coming up the ranks, man?
That would be the dream if we're not in the playoffs. I think, I would settle for a top 10 pick this year, but if we're going to be bad this year, I want to be bad the year after because I really like what Landon DuPont's doing right now as well.
Yeah, that's fair. He's a Calgary guy too, right?
Exactly,
so
yeah.
He's a guy I'm sure that would love to be here too. But man, yeah, it's going to be exciting. I'm excited for the season. I want to see what happens and sort of how they go about their business.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have an early prediction of who's going to be our points leader by the end of the year?
Oh, man, I think, put me on the spot here. I want to say, realistically, probably Kadri again.
Yeah.
Like, how could it not be Kadri? I mean, going to be your first-line center, probably the most talented forward at this point, unless Huberdeau does something crazy this year.
Yeah. I think I have that as well. I'm in between Kadri and Coronado. I think it all depends on what Coronado does and where he plays, because I feel like, especially if he does be that third first-line player up there, if we play our first line similar to how we did at the end of the year with Huberdeau and Kadri, we chuck someone like Zary or Coronado up there, they're going to be racking up the points. I think that's going to be a solid line, whether you put one of those two on there.
Yeah. No, it's going to be exciting to see sort of how it pans out.
Yeah, for sure. Backup goalie. What do we think? Now that we don't have Dan Vladar, he's off in Philadelphia or wherever he is. What are you thinking?
This is sort of what I was referring to when I said the team is sort of worse, I think, right now. I think in terms of goaltending is sort of where what I was talking about. Vladar was a great backup. I think it is probably going to be Devin Cooley, I'm assuming, at this point. He's probably going to be the backup. He's not as good as Vladar, unfortunately. But I do still think he can fill in pretty nicely for Wolf, and I hope he can play actually a solid portion of the games, because I do worry about overworking Wolf right now.
Yeah, I agree with that too. And I think with Cooley, he had a phenomenal start to the year in the AHL last year. Like,
it was great.
He had a good finish too, but that start to the year was ridiculous. He posted like a .960 save percentage through the first 20 games or whatever it was, something ridiculous like that. And I don't think he's going to do that in the NHL, because the NHL is a bit of a different beast, as it's been proven many times from players who have made that jump and were expected to be solid players. But I think he could be that good backup that we need. He's not going to be Vladar, like he said. Like Vladar last year, especially during that gauntlet run that we had out east, he was so good for us. And that's what we need from Cooley. He's not going to be the same, but I think he can be solid.
Yeah, I want to put a lot of emphasis on the organization and how they deploy Wolf, because obviously he is, at this point, your starting goaltender. He's a star goaltender. But I'd be very cautious about overworking him.
Yeah.
Because I do believe overworking a goaltender can lead into future seasons. And I think it's important that right now, I don't think we're in a contention window. I think it's good to sort of not like give him days off and stuff like that and shelter him, because he can on his own right be a good starting goaltender, but be careful about how much you play him, because you want him to be at his A game in 3 to 4 years when we're actually a contender.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Another thing as well, I mean, he's not very injury prone, but if he gets injured, say he gets injured for
they happen,
a month or two, it does happen. Yeah, you saw that with Demko last year. I mean, Wolf as a player hasn't been very injury prone in his whole career, especially in the AHL and the NHL. But at this point of his career, if he goes in and gets injured first week in November or something like that, ends out for 3-4 months, that could really hold his development. And that's what I'm really worried about going into the season with Wolf.
Yeah, that's why, again, like I feel like just based off sort of how the team's built, it does seem like they're kind of betting on Wolf just having another good season. So, yeah, I mean, if they want to be good, I'm not on team be good right now, so I don't really have much to say for what they could do. Like, obviously you can make trades to get players to come in now, but I think, if you're trying to be bad, I think this is just the time to do it, right?
Yeah. Alrighty. So we got 3.5 minutes left. Do you have any potential early contenders for the whole league for the Cup? Yeah. If you give me 2 or 3, I'll take that.
Okay, I want to put Dallas out there as just a Cup contender, and I do have a few playoff sleepers that I want. I wonder what you think about Utah.
Oh yeah,
is a team that I love. Utah, and also the Blue Jackets.
Yeah,
I wonder what the Blue Jackets could do this year.
Yeah, you saw the Blue Jackets go on a bit of a run last year. They just fell short. That's definitely a team that will be interesting to watch. It's a team that doesn't really get talked about very much as well. And they kind of were that silent team who just slowly made their way up the rankings in the second half of last year. And then they were talked about, and then they just hit a cliff and went straight down.
Yeah.
My question about the Blue Jackets would be how consistent their goaltending would be with Merzlikins. I think he's a good goalie. Can he be consistent? That's going to be the decider, I think, for them. And if they can find that solid second and third line defensive pairings as well, I think they have the players to do that. They just got to figure out what works best for them.
Yeah.
I think as well. And I agree with you with Dallas. Like, I mean, last year I had Dallas to go for the Cup. Of course, they didn't. But it's really hard. If you look at that team, they're a solid team, especially if Ottinger's good too. Like, they're a really solid team. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another team I am going to throw out there as a contender for the Cup again is Florida. You can't really say anything bad about them right now. It's essentially the exact same team as last year. The one thing I would question again is their lower defensive core, second and third line. I think their first line going to be super solid. It's their third line is what's the worry, I think, for them right now. And if Bobrovsky as well in net can be as good, he's getting older too. Like, he's been around for quite a while. He's bounced around quite a bit with teams. And he does seem to have really found a good fit there in Florida, but can he be consistent again?
I worry with Florida now with the news that came out today with Barkov being out all season and Tkachuk too. Like, Tkachuk is not going to be playing, I think, until November, I want to say. So they don't have their best centerman for the whole season, and they're missing their top line winger for like the first month of the season. So I'm interested to see what they can do, like how they can get out of this if they are as good as last year. But we'll have to see, right?
For sure. And I'm going to chuck one more out there as well, just because we do have about another minute left in the show. The Montreal Canadiens. That's my prediction for the Cup. Okay. Bring it back home to Canada. I love this team. As much as I would love the Flames to go and win it, I love this Montreal Canadiens team. They look super solid. They're good in net. They got good defensive core. They got their good young prospects. who are going to be so good, and they got that first line locked down too.
Yeah, no, Montreal's going to be unreal, like now and for probably the next legit 8 years.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think they're set up, so it'll be interesting to see what they can do. I think another Eastern Conference team is the Devils. Devils are an interesting storyline. They were really good in 2023. They made it to the second round, and then last year they sort of took a step back, unfortunately. So
Yeah.
I think they're another Eastern Conference team in the Metro Division that I'd keep an eye on, like a younger team that I could see for sure coming out of the East.
Yeah, for sure. So out of all the teams you've just mentioned here, who are your early favorites for the Cup? Just give me one team.
I'm going to say the Stars. I think the Stars are a team built to get it done, and I think this is probably the year.
That's a great pick. Alrighty. So unfortunately, that's all for our next show. We'll be back same time next week on Friday. And we hope to see everyone there again. We'll see you later.
Take care.
Let's dance.
You're listening to CMRU.ca by students for you.